Hi folks, this is your MWIS Winter Planner with the outlook towards the weekend and beyond. We do have some more snowfalls to come over the mountains during the days ahead. This is the forecast snow depth according to one of the models, and taking you through from Wednesday, we've got extensive lying snow across the Highlands. We've got some lying snow across the fells of northern England and on the highest tops in Wales as well. Some rather icy conditions to contend with here. Taking us through into Wednesday night and Thursday, and a frontal system coming in from the west will produce some snowfalls there, increasing the totals for northern England for a time and more extensively into the Highlands. That will then be an awkward mix of rain and snow across the hills, with snow still coming down to quite low elevations in central eastern parts of the Highlands during Thursday. And then as we just head onwards to the end of the week, we will see something of milder air getting in, with a thaw of lying snow on lower terrain. It will take a while to change across the higher ground though, and especially on the Munros, that snow cover will stay in place very much widely into the weekend, just becoming a bit wetter underfoot on some of the middle slopes and maybe largely thawing with time in places. Over the tops though, even through into the start of next week, we'll still expect to see some snow cover across the Scottish mountains. Looking at those freezing level numbers in a bit more detail, and we've got widespread frozen terrain across the Highlands on Wednesday and across the fells in northern England as well. That terrain in Scotland then staying frozen out of sunlight all day, following a widespread hard frost in the morning, -10 or below in a few glens first thing Wednesday morning. That freezing level is starting to rise from the west though, and that will be a process that continues gradually through Thursday, with some awkward variations from place to place across inland parts of the Highlands, some glens staying near or below freezing point well through the daytime, whereas out toward the west coast it's lifting above freezing to the very highest summits, and likewise through England and Wales heading through the middle of the day. By the evening on Thursday, that freezing level coming up further, and gradually the milder air gets in quite widely, so by the time we go overnight into Friday, freezing level is broadly up to around 1200 metres. That will then stay relatively similar as we head through into the weekend, with those highest tops in Scotland staying near or just below freezing point, around 1100, 1200 metres, typically the expected freezing level for most places, a bit higher near to some western coasts. So there will be some thawing up towards Munro level, up to around 1000 metres or so. Above that, much terrain staying frozen. Lower down, broadly will have thawed. Likewise, for much of England and Wales, the terrain broadly unfrozen heading into the weekend. A few icy pockets may just to watch out for though on the very highest summits in places. For the Highlands, even through into Sunday, we've got that freezing level staying fairly similar there at around 1200 metres. A milder looking chart on the temperature anomaly then over the 5 days ahead. Scotland still near or a little bit below average overall. England and Wales seeing the mildest of the air as the wind flow has turned around to the southwest by this time. The colder air across Europe has been pushed back east and northwards as well, with temperatures lifting from the west. A much milder spell into the middle of December then through central parts of Europe. The cold very much just focused over Scandinavia. Across Britain it's a bit milder as well compared to average, especially England and Wales. Scotland near to average temperature conditions for the middle of December. Synoptic charts for the days ahead. Wednesday then sees low pressure approaching from the Atlantic. Wind speeds will be strengthening during the day, so by the end of the afternoon touching gale force across many western mountains. A bright day with some sunshine, some hazy high cloud coming in, and the first bits of precipitation just pushing into the west coast through the afternoon hours. Various fronts then starting to push their way northwards and eastwards across the country during the day on Thursday. Some areas of snow which could turn quite persistent across the mountains in central eastern parts of the Highlands, initially across some western mountains as well. Drier further north and northwest, with the wind flow from the southeast keeping those parts around Skye, Torridon northwards relatively drier with higher cloud bases. Some heavy rain coming in across Wales, and that pushing into northern England, and then that more extensive belt of rain and upland snow pushing through the Highlands into the evening time. A very windy day too across most areas through Thursday. Severe gales across the mountains, so some very difficult conditions to be found. Friday sees low pressure circulating slowly across the country, with some pretty frequently wet conditions across Wales and pushing into northwest England as well. Some areas of rain and still some snow flurries on the highest tops in Scotland, just circulating in from the south too. Once more, the north and northwest may escape comparatively drier. We've got lower wind speeds overall for the Highlands compared to Thursday. Still gale force though likely through England and Wales. Heading into the weekend, and Saturday sees a front pushing in from the southwest. A bit of uncertainty on the exact position and timing, but the idea of some pretty wet conditions and low cloud filling in. England, Wales, southwest Scotland seems to be the worst for that. Northern parts of the Highlands may escape for a time, somewhat drier and brighter, with some higher cloud bases north of the Cairngorms and towards the far northwest. Only really falling as sleet or snow on the higher Munros, where this does push northwards. Wind speeds will vary, a bit gusty towards some western coast. Looks as though it's broadly south, turning southwesterly. Just watch those speeds, they may increase during the day. Staying fairly changeable into Sunday as well. Areas of low pressure toward the north and west. The potential for a developing feature out towards the west during the day. A windy day most likely. Gale force across the high tops with some areas of rain and showers, just mostly falling as sleet or snow on the very highest tops again. Do need to just watch the detail, because some models do spin up a more active centre of low pressure from the west more quickly during Sunday daytime, which could deteriorate conditions further. The exact position of that then is open to some question, but as that runs in, some heavy rainfall would be likely. The scope for some snowfalls over the Munros if that colder air is still in place, and it might just lower the freezing level a touch, so that has some prospect for some snowfalls coming back onto the mountain tops if that system just spins through and keeps far enough to the south, in which case the chillier air would just hang on over the higher mountain tops. Broadly into the start of next week, low pressure is in charge, and again the centres of low pressure still circulating around just across more central and southern regions of Britain, allowing some chillier air to still be drawn in to Scotland at times, so the scope for freezing levels to drop maybe down below 800 or 900 metres for periods during the week ahead. So still some wintry conditions very much to be found on the mountains, very little at lower elevations though compared to recent times. Maybe just the hint in the later part of the week of a ridge of high pressure trying to build for some quieter weather at the later stages of the week. The Atlantic weather systems, they're never too far away, so I wouldn't be promising things genuinely settling down for too long, but maybe a window developing around a week or so down the line. Heading onwards toward the Christmas period, and lower than average pressure is still shown to be near to Britain, with maybe just circulating centres of low pressure, with some of the air coming around from the west by northwest, so could be rather chilly compared to the week before, and sometimes circulating around off Scandinavia too, with high pressure still to the north here, so temperatures may be a bit on the cooler side, some freeze and thaw cycles across the mountains, whereas the Scottish tops may just stay more often below freezing point throughout this period. So a mixture of weather, showery conditions in there with some snow over the tops, maybe not too much at lower elevations though. Very cautious with this detail, but between Christmas and New Year the indication maintains that lower than average pressure, which again keeps things rather mixed, but just the hint maybe at pulling colder air a bit further southwards. The suggestion here would be that that northeasterly pattern tries to circulate around that low a bit more broadly. The milder air would get pushed further south through central and southern parts of Europe, so we could be finding that it's a chillier story with lower freezing levels heading into that festive period. We shall keep you up to date with those developments. For today, that is your winter planner. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.